Welcome to the Events Podcast. I'm your host, Dan Taylor, and each week I talk with event professionals about how they plan, promote, and run their events. We help you build your events empire by growing your business around live events. Whether you're running small meetups or conferences, trade shows, and concerts, we focus on finding actionable tips that you can use straight away. This podcast is sponsored by EventsFrame. Check it out over at eventsframe.com. Make the switch from Eventbrite today to our amazing ticketing and registration system with no ticket fees. It integrates with all the major payment gateways such as Stripe, PayPal, and Braintree. And we also have the best email integrations out there, including MailChimp, Zapier, Infusionsoft, Aweber, Drip, and many, many more. You can use our versatile website builder or embed tickets directly in your own site. We've got thousands of live events on EventsFrame, ranging from small community meetups to large trade shows and conferences. EventsFrame is especially good for anyone wanting to run multiple events, as you can host an unlimited number of events on your EventsFrame account. Most ticketing systems charge you a minimum of 3% of the ticket price, but we just have a flat, low fee with no ticket fees and no restrictions. There's genuinely no system out there that is cheaper than EventsFrame. So head on over to eventsframe.com for a free 1-month trial. And we also have a special offer just for podcast listeners. Email me at dan@eventsframe.com, dan@eventsframe.com, with the subject line podcast, and I'll send you a special discount code. So that's all. Let's get on to the interview. Hello and welcome to the podcast. Today I'm delighted to be talking to Anton Kraly from Dropship Lifestyles, who also runs the Dropship Lifestyle Retreat. So Anton, how are you doing?
Doing very well, Dan. Thanks for having me on.
Fantastic. Anton, where are you calling from today? Can you give us a picture of where you are and what you're up to?
Yeah, sure. I am in our office out here in Austin, Texas. Been out here for about 3 years now and have a little spot that I like to come to work from. So calling in from there.
Fantastic. Do you know Ian Schoen from the DC? He's living in Austin now.
Yes.
He's a good friend of mine.
Yes, I do. Yep. There's a decent amount of people here from that community.
Yeah.
It seems to be like the spot in the States, probably mostly for taxes, but yep.
Yeah, exactly. He was across from my wedding, actually. He moved from California for exactly that reason, for taxes. But
Yeah.
are you from Texas original, or where are you from?
No. I'm from New York, so it's the same thing. The taxes just are not, they're not fun. But I met Ian and that whole community when I was living out in Asia for a few years. And the benefit there is you get the foreign earned income exclusion. And then I decided to come back to the States and definitely wasn't going back to New York on taxes alone. So that's why we settled on Texas.
Definitely. I mean, funnily enough, the sort of foreign income exclusion, because I know there's a few Americans listening to this who have been talking about going kind of digital nomad. That basically means you can have like $100,000 roughly, like tax free, or like maybe you should pay tax in the other country, but you don't have to pay your first $100,000 in the US.
Yeah, and it goes up every year. So I think it's at like 108,000, something like that right now. And it's not like you pay zero tax, but you save the self-employment tax. So it's about 15%, the Medicare and Social Security on, I think, again, it's like 108,000 right now. So, it's definitely a good amount of money. So yep, basically extra money in your pocket. And if you live abroad, definitely take advantage of that.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's funny you're in Austin, actually. I was supposed to be in Austin right now. We run, so my company, I've got two companies. One is EventsFrame, which is a ticketing system. And then the other company is Apps Events, and we're a Google partner. And we run a lot of training for Google all around the world. And we're actually running, the South by Southwest EDU is taking place right now before the regular South by Southwest. And we're running like the Google, or helping run the Google experience there at that. So I was almost there, but then somebody else ran it, so I didn't go in yet.
Oh, wow.
Do you go to South by Southwest? Is that something you're into, or do you just get annoyed by the crowds?
Yeah. I'm to be honest, like I do like specific types of events, but huge events like that are a little bit much for me. I think it's like a personal thing. So I usually go to some events, some parties, but I'm not going to be there for most of it.
Yeah. I imagine like if you live there, it's just the crowds just go nuts and stuff.
Yeah, it's a ton of people coming into town. The good news is they bring out a lot of good music and different events, and you can kind of pick and choose where you want to go. So happy they have it here.
Great. So Anton, you're pretty well known in online business world. I've heard of you for a long time, but I guess a lot of my listeners are not in that world. They're people running all kinds of different events. So could you possibly just give us a quick overview of your story, how you got started in business, and then we can get onto a bit about what is dropshipping, which is something you're an expert in.
Sure. Yeah. So I'll just go through it pretty quick. But back 2006 is when I got out of school at a college in New York, and always wanted to start a business. Didn't know what I was going to start, so I ended up buying my first business, which was a delivery route for a bakery in Brooklyn. My plan was build this delivery route up by selling to different locations, flipping it, taking that cash, putting it into another business, and so on and so on. Luckily, though, I had that business probably for a couple months. Then the book that changed so many people we know's lives, The 4-Hour Workweek, came out. So read that back in 2007. It said, hey, you could build a website yourself. And I said, okay, I could do that. So I made a website back then called NewYorkCookieShop.com, had access to this bakery, basically made a website selling New York bakery products to people all over the States. Took off pretty much from right away. And from there, I just kept getting into more and more niches, selling more and more expensive products, and just scaling the business over the past, 12, 13 years now.
Cool. So I'm really interested in the first part. So you bought a bakery route, I guess. So is that how it works? People sell these things on, they get a certain route and they sell it on.
Yep. So basically what you get is a territory. So it's kind of similar to the franchise model, but the way it works is where I'm from in New York is Long Island, and there's 3 counties. So one of them is called Nassau County, and there's 500,000 people that live in that county. So I had the rights to that location. So any grocery stores that they had as wholesale accounts, those became my accounts. I also got a truck that came with the business. And again, I had the rights to, get as many locations as I wanted. And then I sold them the products wholesale, and I basically made, I think it was $3 or $4 a box back then.
And how did you even come across that business? Was it advertised in the classifieds or something?
Well, there's actually a company called Route Brokers, and that's what they do. But the reason that's what I went for, it's not because I had this desire to do that. It's because I had $20,000 saved from working throughout college, doing landscaping and construction jobs and just doing whatever I could. And I basically just bought the cheapest business I could find. So not a good way to make business decisions, but that's what I did back then.
But to be honest, you were already ahead of the game, because just the fact that you came out of college not in debt and with some money to spend is it sort of boggles my mind at how crazy people go in the US. To be honest, I'm from England, and in the UK, the UK is actually, I think as of this year, it's worse than the US for student debt. We've actually become the worst in the world, but it's crazy how much people don't kind of think about the future,
Not at all. So I went to a state school intentionally because, you save so much money. If you go out of state, the state you live, it just costs so much more. So I went to a school in New York. I did have $13,000 in student debt, but the payments were $100 a month. So it was nothing. So people though, if you're younger and listening to this, don't bury yourself before you even have a chance.
Yeah, I would recommend. If you're from the US, a lot of states, some of my friends, you can basically go to a community college for 2 years, which is super cheap, and then the state school will have to take that and let you come straight to third year, and that's kind of a good way to do it as well.
Definitely.
But I guess it's a status thing. People don't want to go to a community college; they want to be at a big one. But
yeah.
No. So fantastic. So then, you, basically, where you got to is, so you then started selling online services to the bakery business or to the industry because you had that experience?
I just built my own site. I had access to the products and they weren't selling online. So I thought, okay, let me build a website. I was using Yahoo stores back then. So set up a website. I basically took a bunch of photos of these different products. I started running Google AdWords, kind of figured that out. And I was just selling them myself. And then when it first started, the first few sales I got, I was actually shipping the items from my apartment to customers. And then after I realized okay, this actually works, there's traction, I just I spoke with the bakery manager and I said, listen, I want you guys to ship these things to my customers. I'll just send you the orders every day. And they had no problem with that because they're ship items anyway. So that basically, without knowing it, that was drop shipping without me even knowing what that term meant or that it was a real business model.
Right. So when did you get into drop shipping, or did drop shipping even exist when you were doing this?
Drop shipping actually, it's existed since way before me, going back into the 70s and 80s with mail order catalogs. Yeah. Most products in those are drop shipped. There's a lot of different ways to do drop shipping, which is, I think, why there's confusion now. But
I think we should probably start with explaining what drop shipping is for people who don't know, which is probably a lot of the audience.
Yeah, so basically it's just a method of fulfillment. So again, whether you sell through a catalog or a website or the phone or even a store, basically if you work on the dropship model, it means instead of you having a warehouse or a manufacturing facility that you have these products in, you just have somebody else that has them in their warehouse and they fulfill the order for you. So right now, what you see a lot of online is people talking about dropshipping from China. That is dropshipping. That's not what we do. You also see a lot of people talking about dropshipping using the arbitrage model. So trying to sell something on eBay and find it cheaper on Amazon or vice versa. We don't do that either. What we do is just work with companies that are established, that already have a bit of a brand name for themselves, that make quality products. And then we build websites where we serve as a retailer for those products. So our responsibility is to find the best products, upload them on our website, get traffic, take care of the customers, and that's our side of the business.
Great. And how's the business gone? Like, so you've been running this, I guess, for like 10 years or something close to 10 years. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, more now. Since 2007 is when I launched the first one. So I guess 12 years. Yep.
And how's it growing? Like, how many people are you kind of managing the business for now? And
so I don't actually manage the businesses. We build our own stores, and we do occasionally sell them as well. We have, obviously Dropship Lifestyle, where we work with thousands of people from all around the world, but it's not a service-based business. It's an education-based business.
Got it.
So
so Dropship Lifestyle. Sorry, carry on.
Mm-hmm. No, I was just saying we're not managing their stores for them.
Yeah, got it. So Dropship Lifestyle, which is basically, it's an educational product where you teach people how they can do this, how they can run a dropship business kind of starting from scratch.
Yes, teach them how to do it and connect them with like-minded people that are doing the same thing.
Fantastic. So how does, I'm curious, how does like the whole Amazon FBA, I've been hearing a lot about that for the last few years really. I mean, how does that fit into dropshipping? Is that separate or is that part of dropshipping?
For 99% of people that I work with that are doing the stuff similar to me, it's not part of our business.
Yeah.
It's a great business model, like nothing against it, but it's totally different than what we do. The only time it makes sense for like someone, let's say I don't sell on Amazon FBA, but someone that I work with, if they're going to go on FBA, it's because they already have their store set up, they're making sales through there also, and they're just aware that people do search on Amazon, so they're having a presence there as well. But yeah, it's a different business model.
And I should just say, in case people don't know, FBA is fulfilled by Amazon. Basically, as far as I understand, you kind of use Amazon's warehouses to store your products, and they do the fulfillment as people order individual products.
Exactly.
But I guess once you're on Amazon, then you're opening yourself up to a lot of competition, because everyone is, people have got a lot of software that kind of goes and sees what things are selling and what's ranking well and that kind of thing.
Yep, and the reason that what we do is different than that, the suppliers we work with, they're different brands. So when you have to get approved to sell for these different companies, and when you're signing the paperwork, it's usually in their policies that states you're not going to sell these products on third-party platforms. So like eBay and Amazon, Overstock, and they don't want you to do that because then it just becomes like, what value do you add as a retailer? So our goal is really to again find these products and then find a way to position them on our websites where we stand out and find a way to get traffic different than what other people are doing. So just, uploading stuff on Amazon for us wouldn't really add value to the brand. And that's why it's not really part of our business. Great.
I mean, I'm really curious. We kind of went really fast through the kind of 12 years of your business.
Yeah.
But it's. I mean, just from what I can see and what I hear from people, it's a pretty colossal business. You've got a huge profile online. Mm-hmm. I'm curious, like how did you kind of grow this business? What was the story of how you built this business from just being you and having the kind of bakery connection to being what it is today?
Yeah. So I definitely I stayed. Well, I'm still small. Right now we have about 14 people on our team. But when I started, for the first, I would say 4 years probably, it was me and then a couple people max, like part-time. And then eventually what I realized is like, listen, if I'm going to be able to scale this and have support scale with the business, because that was the biggest roadblock, being able to manage more customers and do it in a way that they're happy, then I knew we'd have to bring on more people. So what I've done, again, over the years, there's been lots of, I guess, variations of how our team structure has looked. But right now we have about 6 people that are based in the States. And then the rest of our team is in the Philippines. Yep. We have some amazing people over there. They do our support. They do our sales. They manage our communities online. And, they're amazing. So we're about 50%, local and then 50% abroad.
And how, I also have a team in Cebu in Philippines. I've kind of been, I guess I've had people in Cebu for 6 years now or 7 years. Are your guys remote, or do you have? Are they all based in one place in the Philippines?
No, they're remote.
Right, cool. Do you go out there to work with them, or do you just keep it all online?
We just keep it all online. Last year, we did have some of the team come out to our retreat that we did in Bali. And, this year, I don't know if they're going to be able to come to Prague for our next event because it's a little bit more difficult with passports and whatnot. But yeah, they came to, some of them came to meet up.
Definitely. Well, obviously, great segue to talking about events. Firstly, I hope to meet you in Prague. When are you going to be in Prague? Obviously, because I live here, but I do travel quite a bit. But when are you going to be here?
So the actual event is September 5th, 6th, and 7th, but I'm planning on I haven't booked my flights, but I'll be there for at least a week before or after. Not sure which yet, but early September.
Great. I should be here August. I'm actually taking the family to Asia for 2 months in September, October this year, which should be cool. I've got a young son, and we're going to go out and work from Asia. So got a lot going on there, but definitely for sure August I'll be here. So it'd be great to meet up and see your event. So Anton, how did you start with events? Obviously, I want to get into these lifestyle retreats and talk about them, and definitely there's a lot of kind of digital nomad types who listen to this who'll be interested to come. But what was the first kind of event you ran?
Yeah, so the first one was this year is going to be our 6th. So it was 6 years ago, and it was when I was living in Chiang Mai in Thailand. And that's when Dropship Lifestyle was probably like a year old, maybe a little bit more than a year old, and had built up a decent sized community, and we were all online, right? So we had a forum back then. It wasn't even a Facebook group, but we were talking on the forum, and there were all these people that I saw their names every day, and I helped them every day, and they shared stuff every day. And then I was thinking, like, it would be cool if we can actually have people come here and experience this life in Asia and meet up and see this in person rather than seeing someone's username. So I think you said you're familiar. I think Johnny FD was just on your podcast.
He was one of the early guests on the podcast, actually.
Yep. Okay. So I was hanging out with him. We were actually diving down in South Thailand, and he has a podcast, and I was recording an episode with him, and we basically were talking about, I was like, how cool would it be if we could, find a way to, like, I don't know, let people know that they should be here, and like, why not do that through an event? So that was kind of like just putting the message out there, and then basically the people heard it. They said, I want to come, and that became the first ever retreat we did in Chiang Mai in I think it was 2013.
Cool. So let's talk about that first event, because I'm sure there's people listening to this who've maybe got a bit of an audience or community like you had and wanted to run an event. Like, what were you starting from the point you had a big email list, or did you have to go out and hustle to get people, or did you already have? Because obviously, if you've got people already, it makes it much easier.
Yep. So I had customers, and I did have an email list. Can't remember the size. The reason I think people were so responsive to that is because that was just, it was so cheap. I think it was like $97. So It was like an opportunity. And again, I had maybe at that point, guessing maybe there were 300 to 500 people in the community.
Yeah.
And basically what I said is, like, you guys see, that I'm living out here. This is awesome. Like, and that was when I was new to the whole Asia thing too. And I was like, this is just such an amazing experience. Basically told everybody, like, I wish you guys could join me and see what this is like. So, come out here. I'm putting on this event. It's $97. And basically everybody that, I guess could afford time off of work if they had a job or was willing to take a chance, just bid on it, because it was an amazing experience and a really great offer. And
what was the location? Did you use a hotel, or did you go like a co-working or something?
Yeah, so that's the benefit of Asia also. Things are so inexpensive.
Yeah.
So we did it at what's the name of the hotel? Can't think of it, but it's just outside the city center, and rented that. So everybody stayed there. It was like $35 a night for a hotel room. And then we had the conference room on the top floor.
Great. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I'm actually going to go to Chiang Mai this year. I've never been, bizarrely. Even I've been to Thailand loads of times. I've been to DC BKK for years, and I've got a team member in Bangkok who's actually, and he's also a business partner with me on a business on our SaaS. So I go there all the time, but there's always something comes up. I'm always planning to go to Chiang Mai, and then something comes up, or we go to the islands instead, or I end up going to Hong Kong. Like, I'm going to go and see it this year. I want to take my wife as well, just to see the digital nomad thing. It's got so big there. It sounds like people say it's just like, there's thousands, maybe even thousands of people who are doing that kind of thing in Chiang Mai now.
I think so, because even back then when I was there, it wasn't anywhere near the volume as of now. And just everywhere you went, I mean, well, if you're in the city center, like the Neiman area, or even downtown, like the city center, sometimes it's just you see a lot of white people.
Yeah.
It's strange when you're in another country. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Did you go to the hotel and did you have to commit money up front? Were you taking any kind of risk about this, or were you just?
Yeah, it was relatively small. I think the deposit was less than $2,500. So, and the whole event, I remember it was funny. So when we were planning it, we wanted to do like a final party, and this was the first event I'd ever done. At that point, I hadn't even been to any conferences,
really?
But I wanted to have I wanted to have a good final party with open bar, get everybody beer, get like a big buffet. And basically I spent an afternoon and I walked around to different restaurants, and it was like the second or third one I walked into, and I was like, yeah, we want to do a party here. I think it was like 2 Sundays from now. Want to have open bar for 100 people, want to have a buffet, and what's the price? And I remember they said $900. And I was like, that's a deposit? And they were like, no, $900. I was like, for 100 people, for food, for beer? And they're like, yep. And they were like, you want a band? And I was like, yeah, how much is the band? They said, we'll just have a band. And I said, okay. So I had a lot of wiggle room. Since then, we've done events in the States, and money is just flowing out. There it was just kind of that first one, just everything came together.
Definitely. I mean, it's been said on this podcast many times, but just the difference between Asia and the US for running events is night and day in terms of how welcoming they are, how much money they want up front. It's completely different, especially in Thailand.
How many extra fees they add on. We did an event here in Texas that cost, it was over 150,000, and it was no better than one that was probably less than $10,000 all in Asia. So if anybody has an opportunity to do their event there, I would highly recommend looking into it. Like you said, the people are very friendly and welcoming, and it's such a much more pleasant experience.
And it depends on your audience. Like, I guess the kind of people you're dealing with, a lot of them are quite flexible on travel. I'd imagine where, so they wouldn't necessarily have a problem flying from Europe or the US to Chiang Mai.
Yeah. Right. Yep.
So let's finish off the first event then. So you had this event. How did it go? Like, you got 100 people, that's pretty decent size, how did it go? Were there any problems? Did you have it all organized in terms of, did you get people to help, give name badges and check in, and did you have it all organized, or was it all a bit random?
Yeah, it was it worked out again, like being part of that scene there. I didn't have any employees in Chiang Mai, but from the co-working spaces, I talked to a girl I was friends with and said, hey, can you help with this? And paid her, but she checked everybody in and did all the name badges. And then just with the speeches and the presentations, I just reached out to people from our community that I knew were seeing successes in different areas. So I said, hey, I would love it if you could speak on this or you could speak on that. And it just ended up, I'm sure, like there's always issues. So I'm sure there's things I can't remember now that came up throughout the event.
Yeah.
But nothing where I was, sitting there with my head in my hands, like what's going wrong here.
It's like PTSD. Like, I think people block out the painful memories. Like, 'cause
right.
It's funny.
Yeah.
If I ever talk to someone right after they've run an event, they're like, oh, let me tell you what happened. And they got like 10 things. And like, if you talk to someone a year later, most of it's forgotten, it's funny.
Exactly. Yep.
But, so did you plan parties like every night, or did you just do like a closing party?
So the way that we do the events is I didn't want it to just be sitting in a conference room all day.
Yep.
So we basically have presentations in the morning from about 8 a.m. till about noon. Then we have lunch. And then in the afternoons, we get on buses and go do something fun. So the only party was the final night. But the other days, there was what we call afternoon excursions.
That's quite a good idea. It's interesting you do that. I find myself in a lot of events after lunch, especially after a big lunch, a lot of people are just falling asleep, and it gets to like 5, and you're just kind of desperate to get to your room and sleep before the evening do,
right.
Sometimes. So I think that's an interesting model to have an afternoon excursion.
Mm-hmm. And if you think about it too, of course it depends on the event and the purpose, but I know with ours, people are going there for the content, but they're also really going there to network and to meet people, because it is so much based on stuff that's not in person, like our forums. So we wanted to give people plenty of time to connect in ways than just, having lunch together.
Yeah, to meet people is 100% the reason people go to conferences, even if they say it's to learn. You can find the stuff online, but most you go there for the connections more than anything, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So the first event, so you got this out of the way. I guess, did you not have to pay for any speakers? Like, did you just got people to come and speak for a free place?
Yeah, it was just people that, again, most of them were already in Chiang Mai. The people that I spent time with, the people that I co-worked with, the people I had dinner with. So it wasn't like, and even now, we're not bringing in any big names. That's not really our thing. It's just about finding people from the community that are successful and want to share. So we do things like, we get the hotel rooms. If people are flying in from places that are really far, we will cover the flights. But then it was just people that were there already.
Definitely. Now, how did you use this to sort of? And can I ask, how many events have you run since this? Like, what's the total?
So 6 total. There's been 5 dropship lifestyle retreats. There was 1 event we did here in Texas. So there's 6 total, and the Prague will be our 7th official event. And
it's interesting. You call it a retreat, but like 100 people, that's kind of conference size. It's like a small conference, It's a good number, I think.
It is, yeah. And we've thought about, trying to make it bigger and scaling it. And to be honest, I really don't have an interest in that, because since that first one, I have went to some events, and a lot of them, you could tell once you hit a certain number of people, it's just not a personal thing, and it kind of gets like cliquey, and that's not, the model that I want to do. And I also think when you get to that really big scale, then you really start having those noticeable problems. So we try to keep it small and intimate.
Definitely. So this event you finished, what was your plan? Was your plan initially to make it an annual event, or did you go away and think about it for a while afterwards?
I think pretty much right after, I thought, you know what, that was awesome. And I saw how people were responding, and I saw what people were saying. And basically they were like, where are we going next year? So then I was like, you know what? Yeah, this is something I want to do every year. And it pretty much was decided right away.
And did you do the thing, which I'm not sure if you even do this now, but did you sell like an early bird ticket like from the stage? So like from this year, like buy a ticket from next year and pre-sell some tickets?
No, because again, no event experience. Nothing. Yeah.
Definitely. So you went away, and where was the second event you ran?
The second one was in Kraly, so down south in Thailand.
And what was the reason for Kraly? Like, why did you decide to do something different from Chiang Mai?
So at that point, we wanted to switch it up because I wanted people to come back and have a different experience.
Yep.
And like with the excursions, like we hit like all the top ones in Chiang Mai. We went to, the Tiger Kingdom, the Sticky Waterfall. Like we went to the places that people go. So I didn't want to be like, okay, we're doing everything again. So I figured we had one in the mountains. Let's go down and do one at the beach. We did, we went snorkeling, we went rock climbing. So just switched up the events.
Right. Cool. And so how did it go? Like, was it a similar size to the first one, or what, did you change it up a little bit, the format?
No, I really did like the format from the first one, so we just let that roll. It was basically the same thing, obviously different talks, different topics, different activities, but same amount of people, same format of mornings and afternoons.
Great. So how has it evolved? Like, what would you say has kind of changed in the years? You've run this, so what other locations have you run the events in now?
Chiang Mai, Krabi. We did one in Hawaii, in Kona, Hawaii. Wow. We did one in Playa del Carmen in Mexico. And then this year was in Bali. So kind of been all over the world, mostly in Asia. And then this year, again, we're finally going to Europe for Prague.
How did it go in Hawaii? Was that a big difference in terms of the higher costs and dealing with the American hotels and stuff?
Yeah, so interestingly enough, the hotel cost wasn't actually that bad. It was better than I expected, but I don't know, so after that was my first time in Hawaii when we did our event there. I went like a month before just to check everything out, but I don't know. After being in Asia for so long, I don't want to hate on Hawaii, but it didn't live up to the beaches and the experiences of Asia for me personally. For everybody that was there, it was an amazing time. It was a great event, but knowing what you can get in Asia for a certain price, like it made me want to be back in Asia.
Yeah, definitely. I've never actually been to Hawaii. I want to check it out. It's just there's so many places to visit, but it's
Yep.
I've been to the South Pacific. I've been to Tahiti and a few places like that, Fiji, but never Hawaii. What so how's it looking now? Like what stage are you at for Prague? Have you kept the numbers the same, or have you tried to switch it up a little bit?
Yeah, we've kept the numbers pretty much consistent. The only thing that is changing and is becoming it's something that we have to think about, and something we've had to think about the past couple of years. Now that Dropship Lifestyle, again, started it years and years and years ago, and we want people to keep coming to the events. The thing that changes is what are the talks going to be about? How many should be beginner? How many should be
that's
intermediate?
a tough one.
Yeah, it's very, very tough because a lot of people, they sign up with Dropship Lifestyle. They're excited. They're like, I'm coming out to this retreat and I don't even have a store built yet. And then we have the people that have been with us for 6 years that are running 7-figure stores and they want to hear different things. So that's where it gets really tricky.
Do you have any streams, or does everyone just one room, everyone joins all the sessions?
So what we've been doing is we have the first day is the same for everybody. And then the other days we do have breakout rooms. So about 15 to 20 people where someone can lead that room and they can talk about a specific topic. And that's actually an idea I got from DCBKK back whenever that was, 2014, when I was out there. I really like that. So we've been doing that as well.
So what have you managed to increase the price over the years then?
Yeah, definitely. So the average ticket now sells for about $800.
Wow.
We start them at $500. They go up to they go from $497 basically up to $997 in increments through different tiers. And then people, I don't know why, but they like to wait to the last minute. So we end up getting a decent amount at $997.
What would you say, what other things have changed over the years? Like, what have you learned? Because that's you've run the conference for a good few years now, and the retreat. What things would you say to step out as things you've improved that you do now that you didn't do in the beginning?
Yeah, I think trying to get everybody involved, and this might just be something, just of our event size. I noticed, I think it was in Hawaii, a few people at the event, I don't want to say they were having a bad time, but I could tell they weren't talking to anybody and they were kind of, secluded, and maybe that's their personality, but it just seemed like, this isn't the experience I would want if I came out to an event to network. So we've tried to do things just to make sure that people are talking. And this is weird. This is something I got from Russell Brunson. I was part of their the ClickFunnels or the Russell Brunson Inner Circle thing. And what they do, they have events with 50 people. And basically you go there and someone goes up on stage and they share something that's working in their business and something they need help with. Yep. But then after that person talks, what happens is everybody in the room stands up and you pair with someone you haven't paired with yet. And then they basically put on one song. And during that song, you walk around the room with this person and you share something you got from that talk with them. And they share something they got from that talk with you. And again, after every talk, you have to pick someone else. So it's just a really good way to kind of force people to make connections. So we did start doing that. And I think it's been really helpful.
Cool. Anything else you can think of off the top of your head of things that have worked well? That's a really good tip, by the way. I'm gonna recommend that to people.
Yeah, no, it made a big difference, and I really enjoyed it at those events. So that's why we started using that. But I think also just giving people access sooner than later to notes and to slides and to videos. So we do record all of our stuff, and this kind of started happening when the talks started getting more advanced. Last year I gave a presentation that I know. Even if somebody was up and running, if they just heard me talk for an hour, they were going to have half of it go out one ear and then they'd sit at their computer and be like, how do I do this thing? So trying to follow up that way and making sure hey, I hope you had an amazing time. Hope you learned a lot. Here's everything you need to implement what I talked about. So you actually, not just had the experience, but get results in terms of hopefully more sales and a better business.
That's a great tip. Do you have networking events 2 or 3 now every day, or how do you handle that?
Well, at the retreat.
Do you have a pre-party and one after the first day, one after the second day? Yeah.
So we do what we do now. The first night is just check-in, so reception. We have drinks and food out, and that's when everybody just checks in and kind of meets each other. And then same thing in the afternoons every day is an activity. The final day, what we do is basically we go till 2 o'clock or so, 2 p.m. with the conference, and then we give everybody a few hours, and then we have the final party. So no afternoon activity besides the final party on the last day.
Cool. And so are the attendees almost all from your community, or do you get quite a few from external people?
No, they are, and that's intentional also. The tickets are available for people that are part of the community already, and it's just because we do want everybody, on the same page, and trying to keep it as, I don't know. I want every talk to resonate with everybody. So everybody that comes is part of the community.
Cool. So if anyone is listening to this and wants to get into drop shipping, I guess you'd recommend they join your community and they'd get access to come to the event.
Yeah, or if you just want to, learn more about it, I've been publishing a new video or blog post every week for 6 years. So just go check it out and go through that.
I saw that. That's really, especially for me, because I'm doing this podcast every week and doing a few things. Like, how do you? It's really impressive you've kept it for so long. Does that work because you set like a routine, like I'm going to write on Monday, or do you just kind of fit it in where you have time?
Yeah, so I'm not I'm not a writer. So what I basically do is, there's always questions. When you have a community and people email and people post on Facebook and things always come up, and maybe I try something new that I want to share or I want to answer a question. So what I do is just turn on the webcam. I'll record a 5 or 10 minute video explaining something or answering a question, and then someone on our team actually takes that video and turns it into the blog post, so the people that prefer to read can have it that way. But yeah, it's just a quick video. So that's why I'm able to do it so consistently. If I had to sit down and write 2,000 words, I don't think I'd ever do it.
It's funny. Yeah. So do you just literally freestyle it? Do you do a lot of preparation, or you just turn on the video and just start recording? Yeah,
I just turn it on and start recording.
I think you've probably got to that level because you've done it for so long. I mean, people who do it all the time, they don't care anymore. Like for me, I get a bit self-conscious of what am I going to talk about, and I over prepare. But I think someone like you who's done so much, after a while, you don't even care.
Yeah, and I get that. The first version ever when I made Dropship Lifestyle, it was like 7 videos that were 10 to 15 minutes long each. And I was and not my face on camera or anything, just PowerPoint. And I was so afraid people were going to be just criticizing it, and I put a good amount of time into it, and I was so scared to actually release it. So now I'm just whatever. I don't care. If anybody doesn't like it, it's fine.
Do you recommend, do you think doing more kind of video and podcasting is good for most people who run businesses?
100%. And the podcast is something I just started doing myself maybe 8 or 9 months ago. And the reason, I think podcasts are great also is just because I see how much I listen to them. The fact that, when I'm driving to work or when I'm driving anywhere, I have a podcast on. And
Me too.
In the morning, I put on a podcast. Yeah. So I think that's a must. And I think video is just massive. Like our YouTube channel has led to just a ton of growth, and it's just a more intimate way to connect with people that know you already and people that don't know you yet, just to put a face to the name and to the company. Definitely.
And the real benefit, I'd say, from especially from podcasting, I found is once, because you've got to get it to a certain level, you've got to do it for at least a few months every week, people see it and build up a decent subscribers, in the thousands. But after that, it's also a great networking tool. I mean, the fact that I'm talking to you, I've talked to a lot of, I was talking to James Schramko last week, some really cool people, and if as long as they see that, they've got something to gain from the podcast, it's cool. You get to talk to a lot of people, which I never even thought of in the beginning, but it is a real benefit.
Yeah, 100%.
Cool. Well, look, I think we're just over to 30 minutes. I want to be respectful of your time. That was really, really interesting, Anton. A lot of, I think, tips for anyone who's got a community and wants to sort of grow it, to get their community together. Like, where can people find you online?
The best place is just dropshiplifestyle.com. Everything is linked up off there.
Perfect. I saw it used to be called the Anton method, didn't it? I was finding various old links. So I guess you rebranded.
No. That's so Johnny, FD, he promotes Dropship Lifestyle. It's linked on his blog, and that's basically what he calls it because that's like his referral.
Got it.
Yep.
Cool. Dropshiplifestyle.com/retreat if you want to look at the retreat. Anton, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Hope to meet you out in Prague.
Do you want to sell more tickets to your amazing events? EventsFrame event ticketing has been built to minimize the amount of time it takes to buy a ticket. Result? You sell more tickets. Check out eventsframe.com.